But from the moment he entered the world, doctors knew something was terribly wrong. In the opulent chambers of the royal palace, the air grew thick with a silent dread. The celebrations were cut short. Whispers replaced cheers. His bones were not solid. His skull did not fully close. And inside his head, fluid continued to build, pressing against his brain. The physicians, using the language of their time, could only describe it as a body that refused to harden, to protect itself. His limbs were pliable, his frame as delicate as spun glass. The very architecture of a human was absent. The pressure in his skull was a relentless, silent torment that threatened to steal his mind before he could even form a thought. This child would one day inherit a throne, yet he could barely survive his own body. Physicians offered grim predictions in shadowed corners. He would not see his first year, they declared. He was destined to be a tragic footnote in the royal lineage, a prince who never became a king. The crown, heavy and cold, waited for a head that was too fragile to ever bear it. Any fall could shatter him. Any common illness could become a death sentence. But the prophecies of an early grave were wrong. The kingdom held its breath, watching this impossible child defy every single expectation. Still, against all odds, he lived. Confined to a world of soft silks and careful hands, he grew. He learned. His mind, trapped within a prison of bone, became his only fortress. While other princes learned to wield a sword, he learned to command with a whisper. While they built physical strength, he built a mind of pure strategy. And not only did he live, he ruled. As he grew, his condition worsened. The fragile boy became a fragile man, and the kingdom's secret became a heavier burden. His skull continued to swell, a relentless pressure cooker for his brain, a condition we now know as hydrocephalus. His bones remained dangerously soft, refusing to harden into the strong frame demanded of a monarch. He was a king made of porcelain, ruling an empire of iron. He could not ride horses into battle. His spine would crumble. He could not wear the heavy armor of his ancestors. Its weight would crush him. He could not even be embraced by a loved one without the risk of his ribs cracking. But the true horror unfolded in the shadow of the throne. By candlelight, physicians would unwrap their tools, cold steel, gleaming and terrible, needles as thick as a tailor's awl. He would be held down as they pierced the taut skin of his scalp. He could hear the dull scrape of metal against his own skull, a sound no person should ever know, followed by a blinding volcanic pain that threatened to tear a scream from his soul. He felt the sickening release of pressure as the fluid was drained, a grotesque relief that was itself a form of agony. Then came the dizzying, hollow exhaustion, a fragile clarity before the pressure began its slow, inevitable return. All of this endured without anesthesia, without a single sound. His silence was his armor. Hours later, he would be presented to the court, carried on an ornate litter to hide his inability to walk with strength, his face a perfect mask of control. His stillness was mistaken for divine gravity. His rivals saw a weakling, a cursed king who couldn't even stand on his own. They never saw the mind being honed to a razor's edge in the crucible of that constant pain. This constant dance with death shaped his rule. Unable to lead armies, he learned to dismantle them with words and strategy. Unable to trust his body, he learned to trust no one, observing every flicker of ambition in his court. His court became a chessboard, and from his prison of a throne, he saw every move. To the public, he was an untouchable symbol of divine authority. But behind palace walls, he was a prisoner of his own body, a king who could be seen by all, but touched by none. His reign was quiet. He ruled from a throne that was also his prison. His influence a ghostly presence that shaped the fate of a nation. But the enemy within his own skull never rested. In his final years, the fortress of his mind began to crumble from within. The pressure became a relentless storm, triggering violent seizures that left him shattered. His memory, once a vast and ordered library, became a labyrinth of burning books. He would stare at maps of his own kingdom and see only meaningless lines. The sharp intellect that had been his only weapon was being systematically dismantled, leaving him stranded in a fog of pain and confusion. When the end came, it was not a grand departure, but a quiet surrender. The body that had defied all expectations for decades finally gave out. The silence in the chamber was heavier than any stone. Afterward, the royal physicians were summoned. This was their only chance to understand the man they had treated as a living miracle. They were prepared for deformity. They were not prepared for the abyss. As they made the first incision, a hush fell. What they found inside the royal skull stunned them into a horrified paralysis. It was not a brain. It was a sea. A dark, internal ocean of fluid had compressed the organ of his consciousness into a thin, fragile ribbon no thicker than parchment. His very thoughts had been forged on the edge of an abyss. One physician stumbled back, dropping his scalpel with a deafening clatter. They were not looking at a man. They were looking at a phenomenon that defied God and nature. The royal chroniclers wrote of a peaceful passing. But the physicians knew the truth. They sealed his impossible body in a stone tomb, and with it, they buried a secret that would haunt them to their graves. History remembers the crowns and the conquests. But the most terrifying stories are the ones that were never meant to be told. This king's story was sealed in a tomb, but countless others lie buried in the footnotes of the past, waiting. If you believe the most compelling histories are the ones that were hidden, then join us in the shadows. Subscribe and ring the bell. Ensure you don't miss our next descent into the forgotten.